Join me as we talk all things true crime.
Made contact and shattered.
The missing 4-year-old. The parents have called in and the mother has went for a walk, came home, now they can't find her.
Chad, where are Lori's kids? They've been missing for 4 months. You have nothing to say?
4 were stabbed multiple times and were likely asleep during the attack. Some had defensive wounds.
Most of them had just like one that was the lethal stab wound.
Oh, what a tangled web we weave. Once I told a lie, and I told my family, I had to keep lying.
What's your, is it deemed?
We haven't cleared anybody.
Hey everybody, let me know if you can hear me. Thanks for being here, everybody. I see we've already got a new member join while we were waiting to go live. Let me scroll up. Thank you so much, Mia, for becoming a member. Hey, Debbie Fox, Adrian, Sherry, good to see my mods. Hey, Johnny, Caroline, Zoe. Good to see everybody. I could go down the list, but I want to just get right into it. Hello, Purple One. Everyone, thanks so much for being here. So tonight we are pretty much going to just go through some of the latest reports from this case from the media. 2 weeks ago, we've got something, and then we've got something that was reported this week as well, just in relation to the Chris Watts case. Again, this is just my third live stream being back, my first one without panel guests. So yeah, just hit that like button, and we're trying to get back into the swing of things. So we've got some stuff planned, just always digging into the Watts case, of course. But we are also digging into the Idaho 4 Brian Kohberger files. I want to go through the Karen Reed trials again, both of them. Like, I just want to do deep dives and just hang out with you guys. We'll cover current cases as well. The Corey Richens trial, I know, is going to be postponed likely because she's gotten other charges added, but there's other cases that we are interested in and following on this channel as well. So stay tuned and join us for the live streams. I do put out recorded videos, like uploads, as well as live streams and shorts too. So just make sure you're keeping an eye out for everything. Let's see, let me share my screen. So like I said, we've got one that was from a couple weeks ago through People. So again, we're going to read these, and I've already noticed some fake news, I guess you would say. Let me just put my glasses on. Where is Chris Watts now? Inside his life in prison, 7 years after murdering his wife and kids. So this obviously came out right on the day of the anniversary, so the 13th this month. When his pregnant wife and 2 daughters went missing from their Colorado home on August 13th, 2018, Chris Watts played the worried father. Days later, he confessed to their murders. Police didn't buy Chris's allegation that he had only killed Shanann Watts after she killed their kids, Bella and Celeste, following his request for separation. Authorities believed he murdered them all, and in November 2018, the father pled guilty to all charges of first-degree murder in exchange for being spared a potential death sentence. Instead, Chris was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He has served that sentence primarily in Wisconsin, where his friend Kim told People in May 2019. You guys remember when we dug into Kim and her relationship to the Watts and everything she was reporting? They were trying to bring back Chris's first false confession, which was that Shanann killed the children. They were trying to make that a thing again. And when we know that's just ridiculous and not what the evidence showed. He's sad that everyone is hurting, she said, asking only to be identified by her first name. He wishes he could go back in time. He wishes he had handled things differently. Here's everything to know where Chris Watts is now and what his life behind bars has been like since he's murdered his wife and children 7 years ago. So this is going to, describe who he is. Again, just cute picture of the kids. Chris is a former employee of a petroleum company in Colorado who was convicted in 2018 of murdering his wife and 2 children. And thanks everyone for coming in. I see more people coming in while I'm reading this. Sorry if you guys have already read this. And we're just kind of getting started with our main discussion. We'll be following this little article. Shanann and Chris met on Facebook in 2010. They welcomed their first daughter, Bella, in 2013 and Celeste 2 years later in 2018. Shanann found out she was pregnant with their 3rd child, a boy she planned to name Nico. Days before the triple homicide, Shanann had confided, it's actually a quadruple homicide. But anyways, Shanann had confided in a friend about problems in their marriage and said in a text that Chris had changed and hadn't shown her any physical affection all week. Before his guilty plea, it was revealed that he had been having an affair with a coworker, that Shanann had confronted him about it. The woman, Nicole Kessinger, came forward and told authorities that she believed Chris was going through an amicable divorce during the course of their relationship. Now, again, this is people, the news source, and they always paint Kessinger as she, in all the articles that they've covered with this case for 7 years, she came forward and to help the investigate. Like, they very much paint her as, how the district attorney did. And remember, there's so many liars in this case. The district attorney, Chris, Nicole Kessinger, law enforcement. Let's face it, that it is what it is. But for some reason, the mainstream media will always perpetuate the district attorney's image and portrayal of her as being, even Ashley Banfield. I was saying in our discussion on Brian Koberger over the weekend that she used to be one of the only news sources when this case first happened, when she worked for HLN, that kind of put a little bit of pressure on Nicole Kessinger. And then in her recent News Nation video that she did about Chris Watts looking to get married, which was in April this year, she made some statement along the lines of Nicole being, so innocent and that he'd lied to her. It was just a totally different portrayal of what she was covering Nicole Kessinger as when this case broke in 2018. So take that for what you will, Ashley Banfield, but she's also flip-flopped on just the attitude towards Nicole Kessinger's actions. She very much was like, that mistress must be worried. And then now it's all, he lied to her, and it's just ridiculous. You really can't trust any of the main narratives, I think, on this case, unfortunately, because they will never show you the real investigative things that led to so many red flags around the mistress, including never telling the public that she was looking them up a year before working with Chris. They always will say, she met Chris at work. She met Chris at work. If you're meeting somebody at work, you're not able to search them on the internet a year prior to working with them. And let me just go back. Thank you so much for gifting, Jay. And it's so good to see you. And welcome to the new members. So glad to have you guys back. Pointer Lover, good to see you. Hey, Paul. Everyone who's joined, thanks so much for being here. Purple One, thanks for the super chat. Glad you are getting back to streaming. Looking forward to hearing more Watts. A Karen Reed case in Idaho 4. I hope the family is good. Yes, we are good. It's a longer wait than I expected to come back and stream, but again, this baby was a little bit different than my first, so it's been an adjustment, I'll just say. All right. What's he accused of? We know all this stuff. Now this kind of paints the whole thing. August 15th, 2 days after his wife and daughters were reported missing, Chris confessed to killing Shanann. However, he claimed it was because she had smothered their 2 kids to death after he told her he wanted to separate. The next day, Bella and Celeste's bodies were found in oil tanks where Chris worked. Shanann's body was found nearby, buried in a shallow grave. Police did not believe Chris's account of the crime and charged him with 3 counts of first-degree murder and 3 counts of tampering with body. This will talk about what he was convicted of. So we haven't even got to what he's up to behind bars, which was the whole title of this case, or this article. The evidence against him was overwhelming, a source close to him told People at the time. He had no choice considering the evidence. It took time for him to come around, but he did. Now, why would it have taken Chris, if the evidence was overwhelming, why would it have taken Chris some time to come around to the plea deal? His guilty plea meant he was convicted of 9 total charges, 5 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of unlawful termination of a pregnancy and 3 counts of tampering with a dead body, according to New York Times. Chris was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Chris's full confession was made public in March 2019. Well, yeah, it was 2019. He pled guilty November 2018. And they didn't get his quote unquote full confession until he was already in prison and convicted in February. So just a strange order of operations there. In it, he told detectives that on the night of the murders, he had told Shanann that he didn't love her anymore. When she threatened to leave him and take their children, he strangled and killed her. He then admitted to driving her body to the oil field while the girls were still alive in the back seat. After burying her, he smothered her 2 children. According to handwritten notes obtained by New York Post in April 2024, Chris allegedly described Shanann as a control freak and said that Kessinger was everything his wife wasn't. He also told fellow prisoner Dylan Tallman that his mistress was the death of him. So tonight, when we're talking about this new pen pal and her letters, at first when I'd seen new letters, I was like, oh, great. Are these more letters from Dylan? Like, what's going on? Like, he's got endless letters to just release. And then it was like from new female source. And so I'm like, is this the girl that's been visiting him that we see on his prison visitor list? The one that Plunder did a video on recently too, because she's seen that this female was visiting him a lot. Plunder said she didn't think it was his girlfriend, but I think it is his girlfriend. Although Chris was convicted and sentenced to Colorado, he was transferred in December 2018 to Dodge Correctional Institution, a maximum security prison located in Wisconsin. Reported at the time that the move was due to security reasons. While incarcerated, Chris has received 2 conduct reports, a spokesperson for Dodge told People. One was in 2020 for unauthorized forms of communication and unauthorized transfer of property, and the other was 2021 for disobeying orders and possession of miscellaneous contraband. In 2019, People reported that Chris kept photos of Shanann, Bella, and Celeste in his cell. Outrage ensued, leading to an online petition that garnered more than 20,000 signatures imploring officials to remove the photos. But the campaign was unsuccessful, with the Department of Corrections claiming there was no legal basis for removal. In addition to exercising and working as a custodian, Chris has corresponded with multiple women during his incarceration. They send sexy pictures and he responds, the source told People in November 2022. There are a lot of women who think he's handsome and misunderstood. They send a lot of letters. The source continued, he's got nothing else to do, said the source. So he feeds his ego in that way because he's not popular at all in prison. He's in protective custody. The only outlet he has is these letters. And so that statement was before he got moved to GP, because now he's in GP. So this information isn't even anything that's like recent. So the latest from his new female pen pal. Yeah, we're back on Watts Island. Hey, Holly. Hey, Dustin. Good to see you. He is dead to me. Okay. Hey, Missy. Now we've got So this first was reported from Daily Mail, but this one is a New York Post, and this was posted this week. Give me 1 second. I've got new ideas too for covering this case, as well as Idaho 4. For the Watts, I'm specifically going to go through the discovery, but it's going to be done in a different format. So I don't want to just say it all, but we will be going back through that together in a different way. Okay. Killer dad Chris Watts' twisted prison letters claim he's a new man forgiven by God for murdering his pregnant wife and daughters. Killer dad Chris Watts has claimed in twisted prison letters that he is a new man and has been forgiven by God as he rots in prison for the horrific murders of his pregnant wife and their 2 young daughters. The deranged murderer. I'm loving all the nicknames for him in this. The deranged murderer, 40, insisted he is now a new creature. In recent handwritten letters to a female pen pal while he's serving a life sentence at Dodge Correctional Institution in Wisconsin. I have always taken full responsibility for what I did, even though I was misled by a wicked woman, he wrote to the pen pal, blaming his mistress for murdering his family. I know that God does not see me as a sinner who killed his family. He sees me as his child. I have confessed my sins. I am forgiven. The hardest thing I have to do was to forgive myself, he wrote. Watts admitted to strangling his 34-year-old wife, Shanann, who was 15 weeks pregnant at the time, in their Colorado home in Frederick. He then suffocated their daughters before dumping their bodies in oil drums. After years being locked up, Watts, who investigators say carried out the 6 lanes so he could be with his mistress, declared in the letters, "I am a new man. I am not the person who committed those horrible acts." 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, "If any man be in Christ, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things are become new." That's me. I'm a new creature, he wrote. God has separated me from my sin as far as the east is from the west, Watts continued. But forgiveness of self is another matter entirely, and it has taken me years to find my peace, the peace that passes all understanding. I am finally at peace with myself. And now, mind you, it hasn't even been a decade. It's literally been 7 years, and he's forgiven himself and he's at peace with everything. Elsewhere, Watts repeated prior claims that he was misled by his Jezebel mistress, Nicholkessinger, who he had been having an affair with at the time of the murders. There she is. She was a harlot, a Jezebel who led me astray, who spoke sweet words of destruction, Watts added. But I will let God have his justice with her. I was weak, and I let her cloud my morals and my judgment. Kessinger, who dated the killer in the months before the slayings, was never implicated in the murders. Interesting how they end it with that. But my thing is, he says, but I will let God have his justice with her. Why would there need to be justice with her if she was just innocent, collateral damage in his actions? He lied to her, said they were getting divorced. She didn't know she was pregnant. Remember, all this is what is been told to us by the media, by the investigative notes, her police statements, which we will be going through her interviews again. Actually, we've never gone through them on my channel. We've gone through them on CDT together, but we've actually never gone through her interviews here on my channel. But why would there need to be justice from God, like to her? So that's the latest. This is the latest letters. So let me just sum them up again. I will let God have his justice with her. He's finally at peace with himself. He was misled by his Jezebel mistress. God has separated him from his sin as far as the east is from the west. Forgiveness for himself is another matter, and it's taken him years to find his peace. I am not the person who committed those horrible acts. He is a new creature. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things are become new. That's me. I'm a new creature. So what do you guys think? Now remember, he has been proclaiming his, new born again type of rhetoric by the time they went to visit him months later. By the time they visited him in February 2019, he had already been saying things in the prison interview about God's forgiven him, and inmates who look for scriptures write to him and ask him to send them scriptures that he knows off of the top of his head through memory to help them get through their hard times. It's just like he's been kind of convinced that he's changed, but the only reason why I question it, well, there's many reasons why, but he keeps lying. Like in the whole prison interview, I would say maybe there's like 10% that matched the evidence. Like when your story isn't matching what the evidence says, we can pretty much conclude you're lying still. So here he is in the prison interview saying the same things he's saying now, 7 years later. I'm a new person and God's forgiven me for what I've done, and God doesn't see me as that person who committed these acts. He sees me as his child. Like he's just been spouting the same things, but then won't tell the truth. Instead, we'll just say things like God will have his justice on Nicole Kessinger. And remember, he's kind of bent. Like people like to say, if she was involved, why wouldn't he throw her under the bus? He kind of has. Like when you think about it subtly through the years, 7 years, like he's said in the prison interview, like, I'm hoping that she can find some sort of normalcy since she's on the outside. Like that insinuates to me that you're saying that she should be on the inside, like behind bars for whatever involvement or what that she did. Like, and then when David Carter comes out and he shows letters and he's basically saying that Chris told him that Kessinger had more involvement than what people know. Cato was even saying things along those lines as well. Dylan Tallman, that Christina girl that was tied to all of them, Anna, all these people throughout the years, they won't directly come out saying that Chris has said that Nicole was more involved, but they've come out saying that they believe that there is more involvement with her. I think it's just it's come down to having to grasp and admit that there was nothing that they could really gather from her. I just really think that they needed to shut it down with the plea deal rather than digging deeper into what she did in her level. Yeah, maybe God has forgiven him. And there's no, like, take away, like, if God would forgive somebody or not, like that whole conversation. The thing is, he just continues to lie. So he might forgive you, but he also wants you to tell the truth. Yeah, it is hard for us to look at him. God has not forgiven him. You have to sincerely repent first, else proof you have no comfort from God. And let's face it, he's never come out and told the truth. I mean, does anyone in here really think that we know the truth in this case? And then if you do, feel free to just, I'm not going to judge you. I'm just curious. Like, say yes or no, as far as like, yes, we've been told the truth. No, we haven't been told the truth. Hey, Carolina, good to see you. Yeah, hideous dress, just saying. I know it's very cheap, just like her. And the cheap sunglasses to match. I think that it's stupid for me to even ask if I think you guys think that we've been told the truth, because I don't think that there would be 120 people in here right now discussing a case that is 7 years old closed if we all were kind of satisfied with the narrative that they've told us. Let's face it. And they told Shanann's family that everyone died in the house. Chris carried them out like trash. Then he disposed of them at the job site. It later comes out that they went out there alive, the children. I think everybody died at Servy, but take my opinion out of it. He says in the shadow in Nate's camera, which I don't see a lot in Nate's footage, but I do see the shadow, and I do see Chris pick up what I think is one of the kids and put him in the truck. After Shanann's family found out that it was worse than what they initially were told by the district attorney, they regretted taking the death penalty like off the table and like allowing this plea deal. I know. And that's what's so crazy is like, even when you hear him talk about the affair, he like, when he's discussing how she would just flip out about nothing and he had to calm her down. At one point, like in that conversation, he's like, I don't even know why I was doing it. It's like, you're that weak of a person mentally that like you're comforting somebody who's upset that they're finding out that they're second fiddle, that they're the other person. Like, she knew you were married, you admit that. But when she's upset about being the other person, you're over there comforting her, but then reflecting back, you're saying you don't even know why you were doing it. It's like another true example and testament of him being just this empty vessel that just goes with the motions. Like, he thought in that moment, I'm going to comfort her. I feel bad. Like, that's what a person would do. If somebody was upset, they would comfort them and they would say, you know, like, don't worry, I'm getting separated. Like, it's rough right now, but I like you and I want to keep seeing you. But in the grand scheme of things, he's saying he doesn't even know why he was doing that, because he just does what he thinks you should do. He mimics, he impersonates empathy and like tries to be what he's supposed to be in the moment, but he doesn't have the full, I don't even know. He's just very, I think borderline, could definitely be psychopath, like just born that way. The more that I look into him, like, I feel like he wasn't like conditioned that way. I almost feel like it's just his makeup. I don't know. What do you guys think? Of course, Everyone thinks differently about him. Some people think that he is a psychopath. Others think that he's a narcissist. Other people have said, like, no, I don't think Chris fits those molds. Remember, there's a bunch of people who think that he's like on the spectrum. Even people who have family members on the spectrum say that he reminds them a lot of their family member. Like, in that, I'm using CDT as an example. Like, she's would say, like, he reminds me of like my brother who was on the spectrum. A shallow, basic dork, definitely. No empathy. Yeah, he just kind of mimicked. The whole Watts case was so poorly run, and things seem so shady to this day, including NK. That's very sad, is I feel we are seeing it all over again with those 4 angels in Idaho. I agree, Janessa. Like, I tried to have the conversation with chat and with the panel guests on over the weekend about Idaho 4, and all I kept thinking was like, this is the same thing that they did in the Watts case. Like, the Watts case was there were strings being pulled by powerful entities in the Watts case. In my opinion, the oil company, I believe, we even traced it all down. Like, they were donating. There's like exchangements of like relations between the district attorney's office and the oil company. And I bet you we could find that in the Idaho 4 case. It's like these powerful entities, if they're involved in big cases or crimes, like, they have the power. Just follow the money. Like, I think we're all pretty intelligent at this point to know that. I mean, for example, where I grew up, like, there's this mall, and it's like they spent all this money into building this mall, and there's a lot of crime that occurs there, but the local media keeps it hush hush because they want, people to shop there. They want money. So when this happened with the oil industry, they didn't want this going to trial. And same with Idaho 4, the 2 universities, Koberger working for one of them. Like, they don't want their names dragged through a trial. Like, no, shut it down with a plea deal, and we'll redact everything we need to redact, and we'll make sure that they follow this one narrative. And that's what we're always going to perpetuate over and over. 7 years we've seen it in the Watts case. They perpetuate the same thing. Nicole didn't know she was or that she was pregnant, even though we know she's looking up her Facebook. It was blatantly public that Shanann was pregnant during the times that we know that she was looking up Shanann. Yeah, it just comes down from the very top where the money is. Exactly. And the district attorneys who don't have the spines to say to these defendants, you need to give us, what the motive, like, explain to us what you did so that we can match your account to the evidence that we know. Like, why they did that in the Watts case months after the plea deal was signed is bizarre. It's bizarre. Yes, Tiny Ghost. Nicole was stalking her Facebook. And I had some comment the other day. Looking up somebody one time on the internet is not stalking. And I said, it's cyber stalking. And I said, do you know that Nicole Kessinger looked her up more than once? She looked her up twice before she ever even worked with Chris. And first she looked up Chris a whole year before the crimes. Then she looked up Shanann twice before ever working with Chris. And then she looked her up the night that they had their little love-making session. Remember when she was searching 3 ways in preparation for, she looked her up that night. And then as soon as the case broke, she was looking up Shanann's Facebook and news articles. I mean, and you know what else I love too? People who try to defend Nicole Kessinger's phone pinging in Frederick that morning. Okay, she never made those phone calls where she pinged in the morning in Frederick. And people who say, oh, she was that's one of the routes on the way to work. First off, that is not the direct route to get from her apartment to Anadarko. Second off, we have no history of her ever pinging in Frederick in the morning before. Thirdly, when you say the argument of, well, I just think that maybe she was going to drive by the house to see if Chris was going to tell her that things were over between them. And so I think that Nicole pinged in Frederick that morning because she was just seeing, if Shanann had gotten home, if they were really going to get, if the house was really putting up for sale. Doesn't matter, like, the reason why you think she drove by the house, like, that's still concerning. She's an outlier to this family. That's not an argument to paint Nicole Kessinger as more innocent in all this. Oh, she just wanted to drive by and see if they were really putting the house up for sale, and if he was really going to tell her that things were done. Like, no, even if that's true, like, that's crazy sounding. And for it to happen, she got home at 1:48 in the morning. The ping happened at 6 in the morning. It wasn't even like it happened later in the day. Like, that's for her to be, and mind you, we don't have a clock in time. So show me that she clocks in around 7:30 or however many minutes it takes for her to get to her apartment to Anadarko. You can't. Yeah, NK knew what's up. She knew everything. She knew everything, and yet she still pursued it. I just think there's so much more to all this. Yeah, the realtors are going to come at 5 a.m. Yeah, they're going to put the sign in the in the yard that early. It's not good. It's not a good look. Like, no matter what excuse you try to make, it doesn't look good. Oh, she was driving that way to her job in the morning. We don't have her clock in time. We don't even have her attempting to lie about a clock in time. Like, she attempted to lie in other things, like how many times she'd been in Shanann's car, how many times she'd been to the residence. There were other things she tried to lie about and then, like, changed her statements on in later interviews. But she never tried to present like a clock in time or any mention of when she got to work. Yeah, it's just, another coincidence that we have no record of that. Yeah. Like, and I know it's going to happen. We're going to go through the discovery files, and we're going to wind up right where we are right now, saying that there's more to this. And just because there's discovery files doesn't mean that we even have everything that they had on this case. Like we've seen in other cases, they are only obligated to give you everything like once trial starts. Like they can decide to give you stuff like the day before trial or the day of trial. Like as long as they're presenting you with stuff, we don't know what the state would have still handed over to the defense if it went to trial. For example, for those who watched the Alex Murdaugh case, or even if you didn't watch it, there's a Snapchat video that was used as like very damning evidence against Alex Murdaugh. The defense wasn't even aware that they had that video until like right when it was pretty much shown to the court. Like it was under the law, they handed it over to the defense, but it wasn't anything like they had like a ton of time to prepare. Like you get it when you get it. So there's so much that I think that this case might have had that we just still will never know, because they only gave us what they had in the discovery files at the time. So we wonder, like, oh, well, why didn't they interview so-and-so, like Jim and all these people? Like, they might have, or maybe they attempted to, and his lawyer was shut it down. Like, we don't really know everything. Was the DA too lazy to fight for justice and took it the easy way out? I think it's a lot to do with, yeah, they like to have a good conviction rate, and plea deals ensure that they maintain a good conviction rate. I think honestly, it had the perfect storm of reasons why he wanted to shut it down. Like, a plea deal is much easier than preparing for trial. So maybe we could account for some laziness there. I think a majority of it had to do with once they made Nicole Kessinger their star witness, like they wanted it to be like Scott Peterson trial. She was going to be their Amber Fry, and she was going to, be this star witness at the trial. But once they started uncovering things about Nicole Kessinger and unraveling her lies already, I think they realized, like, we made somebody a witness when they very well could have more involvement. And by then, it's too late. Like, they might have already started some sort of immunity deal with her. I think that she told them where everybody was at Serby, but I think that she said that Chris told her where they were, but it's his word against her word. I think that the other reason too is like I said, that the oil company like did not want things coming out. Like, the whole thing that Chris was doing there that morning was maintaining an oil leak that had been going on. And they were already under a lot of pressure from the house explosion the year prior, like this company that he worked for, due to a leaky oil fracking pipe that blew up a house. So I just think there was a lot of things coming at the district attorney and all that was like, this cannot be shown in trial. Which pen pal is this one now? It's some hate criminality. It's some new female. That's all it says. Female. This came out this week. I'm wondering, so remember, I don't know if we never talked about it here, but it was like confirmed through the Watts that, or maybe it was talked about here, that he was going to be looking to get married. So I'm thinking that it's that person, maybe, and she's sold their private conversations already, like, to the media. Or I think that that's the same person who's been visiting that plunder to try to show everybody. In her video, I think a couple weeks ago, there's like somebody who keeps visiting him. I think that it's possibly the same person, which would mean that she's sold her letters to the media. So I don't know. But then it also says, do we know who he's supposedly marrying? No. Let me replay that whole thing again. So this is from, sorry. This is from Dave. So somebody posted this in my Watts Facebook group. And yeah, this is just basically what we know. Now, he talks to the Watts family. Hold on.
Anyway, I can assure everybody, for months and months, Chris Watts has been planning on getting married. I will confirm it to you all. And it's something that Ronnie and Cindy don't want to be any part of whatsoever. Only speaking to Cindy a very short time ago, if this were to go ahead, what an absolute kick in the guts to the Ruzic family. you know, they're very, very upset and thinking of how horrible this is to the Ruzic family, to to Shanann, Bella, Cece, and unborn Nico. Cindy's heart is actually breaking for the Ruzics in this instance. It's an absolute kick in the guts, and Ronnie feels exactly the same way. So, yes, planning on getting married. Her mother is apparently going to be the celebrant. There's no conjugal visits. There'll be no sex. None of it. But if anything were to happen to Chris, she gets control of everything, doesn't she? It's fucking crazy. But
what does that even mean?
What's weekly news?
If she gets married to Chris, she gets control of everything. What does that mean? What does he have? His commissary stash? She gets control of his entire ramen stash. So yes. And the only reason why I'm playing that is because he does have direct contact with the Watts. I know, and I totally agree, Teresa, because she said it's hilarious that he thinks anyone would believe Cindy gives two shits about the R's. And what's interesting too is if that all yes, I do have my Facebook group still too. It should be linked in the description box in case anyone wants to join. Do I have a letter? I read part of the letter. I read the letter in the beginning of the chat or in the stream. He cares about the family, right? They will never relinquish the power that they want to have over Chris. And I think that this is just some manipulation from the Watts, to try to use, they're heartbroken for Shanann's family. Cindy, she really is upset for the Rusecs. I think that they know that Chris still cares what his ex-in-laws think of him, because remember, over the years they've said stuff and they've communicated, and Frank has said things like I love you or something like that, and Chris was they're still in contact basically. I think that the Watts know that they still hold some sort of power over Chris, and that the Watts are using that to kind of manipulate Chris. We're not happy about this, when really, yes, it comes down to they want Chris all to themselves. That's what I feel too. I really do. It's a strange relationship. And it's taken me years to kind of understand their dynamics. But for them to be unhappy with this one woman that he might marry, it's no one that he would talk to inside prison or outside of prison ever was going to be good enough for Cindy. That's just how I feel. And it's like that in a lot of mother-son relationships, as red flag as that is. And I think that if that statement is accurate, which I don't think that the Watts, because they were in chat when Dave was saying that, so they approved of that message. I don't think that they really care what the Rusecs think about him being married. I think they mostly are just using that as we'll make Chris feel a certain way. Maybe he won't get married. I don't know. Yeah, they conspired to remove Anna from his life. He wanted her to have power of attorney, and they were losing their minds. I believe it. I 100% believe that. No one can really get close to them, to Chris. Thank you for being a member. Support with Steffa. Good to see you. The only person he should be allowed to marry is Big Bubba. Thanks for that super chat too. There was something else I was gonna say too. Like, okay. So this whole statement too, coming from the Watts, like, oh, yes, we can confirm it's true. Oh, I know. I'm happy you're here though. Oh yeah, since I have you, Teresa, I realized another comparison between this case and the courier case. Both cases were being investigated for leaks to the media. So in the Watts case, there was an investigation going on, law enforcement leaks to the media. And then same in the Koberger case. There's that investigation going on about leaks to the media. And both cases. And what do you know? We never found out how that investigation ended in the Watts case. But I think we know what law enforcement people were leaking stuff to the media. Hi, Mrs. Troy. Good to see you. But so, yeah, interesting that Cindy puts out this whole like statement, like, we're so upset for the Ruseks. But like, they didn't put that statement out about like other things that have happened in this case. You know what I mean? Like when Dave wore Chris's jersey, so Dave, that same spokesperson for the Watts that we just listened to with the Australian accent, when he wore Chris's football jersey to the gravesite, everyone was like, dude, that's just disrespectful. Like, why is he doing that? But the Watts didn't put out a statement saying like, oh, we're heartbroken for the Ruseks. Like it's, I don't know. But if this girl is this pen pal that told us everything we read tonight is the person that he's going to marry, maybe they're on the outs? Or is this just some other female that he was stringing along? And that's the thing, is we heard from the source too that I had that worked there. She no longer works there anymore, but she said that like he has like a bulletin board that he posts like all his letters that he gets from these women. I don't know. It's just very interesting, like how weak he is when it comes to like women. Because like also, if you remember the story that he told in prison when he was talking about when Shanann flipped out on him, he's like, she only ever flipped out on me like that one time and we were dating. And he was like, I think it was because I was like she caught me talking to somebody from my past. And I was like, what? I can't have friends. It's like, even back then, like Shanann should have ran like at that moment. Like when she caught him texting people from his past before they got married, and he plays it off of like, what, we can't have friends? It's like, it was probably somebody that he hooked up with. Like, she didn't just flip out for no reason. And if that was one of the only times she did ever flip out, like that's noteworthy too, because that just goes to show like she wasn't this psycho wife. Like, and the reason was valid for her to freak out at that moment, because you're admitting that she caught you talking to somebody from your past. And it's ironic too, because in that same interview, he says, my mom and my sister never liked Shanann. They always thought that she was hiding things from me. And Agent Coder's like, hiding things? Like what? And he said, I don't know, like from her past. Hey, Alex. Hey, Ellie and Teresa. Got my friends here, and you guys should definitely subscribe to them as well if you haven't. I know a lot of you guys are already, but I got to throw my girls a shout out. Hey, Roxanne. Yeah, you're late, but you know what? I'm glad you're here. better than never showing up. So you're off the hook. Who else is going to stroll in? So I don't know, guys. That's pretty much it. Like, who is this female pen pal? Is it the same female who's been visiting him constantly that Plunder showed the prison records for? And it's like she's driving hours on hours to get there. If this is the person that the Watts are like, we don't want him, we're not happy that he might marry her, are they like valid for feeling that way? If she sold her letters, hey Seth, if she sold her, hey Amber, good to see you back. Hey, yes, he's doing good. Oh, I'm relaxing when I can, but it is always relaxing talking to you guys. So thanks for being here. So yeah, if the Watts are like, we're not happy about this marriage, is it valid if this is the same person who's selling her letters to the media? I don't know. Maybe Shanann was having an affair with her boss. That's the rumor. There was nothing to ever back that up with. So that was the rumor that was started from Chris's friend Mark, who I believe also worked with them, Chris or Shanann. And there was nothing to like back that up. If that was happening, like if she slept with her boss, I think that happened before Chris, personally. If there was something going on between them. I don't know. That's the rumor. And they stayed very close, like even up until her death. Like he was sharing information about her missing person flyer on the internet. But yeah. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much the latest. You know, we read through the articles from this month. There was 2 of them. One of them just describing his time as a custodian behind bars for the last 7 years. We know that he's in general population now. Now I'm just reading the comments in chat. So there's always going to be the victim shamers and blamers. But what can you do with this case? You know, that's why I put it on subscriber mode. But whatever. I wonder how Agent Graham Coder is too. Like he's the only one. Well, I shouldn't say that. Baumhover has never done an interview either, a public one. He made a public blog though, and then he stopped writing in that as well. So that was all strange too, like wanting to raise awareness to PTSD, but then ending the blog after he had come out saying that he didn't have anything against Nicole Kessinger, like in his investigation. That was bizarre. That's happened over the last 7 years. The DA, the assistant DA, that little Napoleon guy next to him, like in the press conference, Tammy, who else? Other CBI people have come out speaking on the case, but they're not like it's ones that we've seen in like the body cam and stuff. Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. I think that the MLM was not getting them out of their financial rut that they were in. Remember, they were being sued by the HOA for their house because they hadn't been paying for like a year. So people wonder in the investigative notes where it has like the call logs, like Sandy called in and said that they had a court date coming up for a family matter. That family matter was the HOA company suing them. So they were in problems, like with money. Let's face it, they were. Crazy to think of him getting remarried. And what's another example of him flip-flopping on a statement. I mean, not everyone is going to say the same things they said 7 years ago, but when he was interviewed in the prison interview about, Tammy was like, would you ever get married again or something like that? And he said no. So again, that was just a couple months after the crimes, but funny how 7 years later, he's looking to get married, and he's already come out to say that he has found his peace in this case. Well, I should quote him directly. I know that God does not see me as a sinner who killed his family. He sees me as his child. I have confessed my sins. I am forgiven. The hardest thing I've had to do was forgive myself. Watts admitted to strangling his wife, blah, 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 blah. I am a new man, he says. I'm not the person who committed those horrible acts. I'm a new creature. I am finally at peace with myself. It has taken me years to find my peace, the peace that passes all understanding. So it's taken him only 7 years? Hi, MK. Good to see you. It's taken him only not even a decade to forgive himself, for finding peace. Like, good for you, buddy. There's people who aren't even in prison right now looking for peace. Can't find it. Yeah, guys, don't join an MLM. It's a cult and many people go bankrupt because of this. Oh, yeah. I've fallen down the rabbit hole. There's literal channels on YouTube. Their whole premise is to expose MLMs and say their schemes and tricks. Yeah, he doesn't deserve any peace. I hope that she never has peace, but I don't know. She definitely didn't look like she was having any peace in her little clip in that funeral that we found. The one that circulated of her recently. But yeah, I mean, people are pissed that he's even considering getting married. I don't care. I don't feel either way about it. I'm not surprised. I think that he's so weak. I never believed it when he said in the prison interview that he wouldn't consider getting married again someday. He needs it. And I bet you he will still write to other women while he's married to whoever this woman is. Because he's just that pathetic. But yeah, he is such an idiot. All right, guys. So I really don't have much more to say here. I mean, we've been discussing this for about an hour. We don't know who this female pen pal is. Yeah, he's always going to be a puppet. Oh, yeah, Seth. He's looking to get married. It's been confirmed by the Watts, and they are not happy. And that's the other thing. It's no matter what marriage comes along, mommy and daddy are not going to be happy. So are they not going to go to this wedding too? Oh my gosh. Can you even imagine when the pictures get shared of the prison wedding? All right, guys. Like I said, we'll be digging into the discovery files for the Watts case, the files for the Idaho 4 case. I want to go through trial 1 and trial 2 of Karen Reed, because I'm sorry, but I want to know who killed John O'Keefe. I'm still hung up on that. And yeah, any other recent cases and developments and cases we will talk about as well. I don't know if we have any Barbie or doll enthusiasts listening, but I'm starting a second channel, and it's going to be about dolls. That sounds so creepy. No, it's gonna be like making over and all that, like my Barbie collection to give for my daughter. So I'm gonna document it and all this stuff. But when that second channel comes out, I hope you guys will at least subscribe to it. But this will always be my main channel, my home. Friends are here. So again, thank you guys for being here. Hit the like button on your way out. Meet me back here sometime next week or next weekend. I have family coming tomorrow, so I'm not going to stream this weekend. And I don't have like a set. Thank you, Seth, and everyone else. Thanks, Holly. So I don't have like a set schedule yet because listen, this baby is still waking up in the middle of the night at times. So I'm just like trying to find a new normal still. I think weekends are probably going to be the time to stream with you guys. And those are going to be the streams that I have planned. So these files in this case, hey, Punksy, thanks for being a member. And again, thank you, Criminality. Her member was a long time. I want to see her banner. Oh, wow. We had one from Kelly as well. 21 months. Thank you. 43 months. And then Punksy 8 months. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate that. So yeah, we'll dig through these files again in this case. You were late, Roxanne. You were late. Yeah, weekends probably for streams, covering the cases that we've just been digging into. Karen Reed, Idaho 4, Watts, any other frequent cases, we'll be jumping down those rabbit holes too. So yeah, I'll see you guys soon. And thanks again for being here. And yeah, I will talk to you guys through the community post or through the Facebook groups. Either way, thank you to my moderators. And yeah, I'll see you guys.